So my past couple of weeks have been absolutely crazy. I road tripped from Philly to Dallas and then back. I sat on a construction site of a heavy highway job, flying my drone all day, and I spent hours over the past 2 days flying FPV at an abandoned warehouse in Philly that's currently being torn down. The commonality between all of these different events is that I was using a lot of power. On my road trip, I was flying in different cities on my way to and from Dallas, and of course flew like crazy while I was there. On the construction site, I was capturing hyperlapses as well as regular aerial photos and videos throughout the entire day as these metal beams were set into place. And when flying FPV, well, you know how it goes. I was burning through batteries like crazy, so I needed to make sure that I could keep refilling them. In all of these different scenarios, bouncing around from job to job and doing some road tripping, I had this thing with me right here. This is the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro, and it is a big upgrade over the previous Jackery power station that I had, which was the Explorer 500, which was the old body style as well. So basically, this thing is a big battery, and the way that I use it most, as you can probably tell, is charging drone batteries while on the go. So it lets me fly more while I'm out, not needing to go and find somewhere to charge my drone batteries. And really, you could use this to power just about anything that you need while you're on the go. So to give you the rundown, this power station is built very rugged with a shock and fire resistant frame. This thing has practically lived in the trunk of my car over the past couple of weeks and doesn't really show many signs of wear. The dark gray finish really helps hide any dings or scratches that you might pick up just from using the power station. Now, like many power stations out there, most of the I/O can be found right on the front side. Towards the top, we have a light, a screen for monitoring the status of the device, and a 12-volt DC output like you'd find inside of your car. At the bottom, we have a cluster of USB ports, 2 USB-A and 2 USB-C ports. Those 2 USB-C ports are each capable of outputting 100 watts of power to charge even the heaviest of devices. We also have 3 AC outlets for the times where you might need to charge or power something that doesn't use USB. Now, I don't know how much longer these power station companies are going to continue to put USB-A ports on their devices. I mean, let's think about everything that's shipped over the past couple of years, from drones to cameras to action cameras to tablets, computers, phones. I mean, even the iPhone now has switched from Lightning to USB-C. All of these devices ship with USB-C to USB-C chargers, and they have USB-C ports on them. So the fact that we still have 2 USB-A ports feels a little bit out of date. Now, I know that this is a backup means of power, so it would be good to have like one USB-A port as a just in case. Like, let's say you run out of power, the only cord you have is a USB-A to USB-C. Good, you're covered. You can charge up your phone, you can charge up your devices. But the fact that we have 2 USB-A and 2 USB-C kind of, again, makes me feel like I just have 2 dead ports. Like, I'm never going to use those USB-A ports because I don't carry those cords around with me. So I'd like to see just one as a backup means of power, but give us more USB-C ports than USB-A ports to kind of keep up with the times. Now, the inputs are located here on the back and are covered by rubber flaps, so you'll be able to charge this thing from the wall, from your car, or even from the sun if you choose to purchase the solar panels. Overall, I really like the fact that each group of ports have their own button to control whether or not they're delivering power. This helps mitigate unnecessary power drain and better control over what is and what isn't getting power. So overall, the aesthetic, like the design here of the power station, is very Jackery. Of course, it's made by them, and of course, the colors represent Jackery very well. You've got the dark gray and the orange accents. So the orange accents are the vents here on the side. You've got one vent here, and you've got another vent over here. You also have a small little orange accent in the handle here. So this device does have a handle that makes it easy to carry around if you're going to be moving from spot to spot. This is also a rubber grip down here. So when you're carrying it, it's not going to pinch or hurt your fingers while you're moving the power station around. Also, the handle like locks into place and stays wherever you go and position it, which is nice. Sometimes you have these spring-loaded handles that'll just shoot right back down. And sure, it looks nice and clean, but if I'm going to be bringing this up the elevator in my apartment, I'm able to put it down on the ground, punch in what floor I want to go to, and then pick this right back up with the handle at the ready. Also, this power station is not heavy at all. It's about 25.5 pounds. So being able to move this from my car to a job site or from my apartment up here down to my car is really easy because the handle is, of course, nice and grippy, but also because it's fairly lightweight. Oh yeah, and I also forgot to mention that on the bottom we have rubber feet, so it sits firmly on the ground in the trunk of your car or anywhere that you plan on using this power station. Now, some will think that port selection is the most important thing about a power station, and yes, of course, how you interface with the actual device is important. You want to make sure that you have a good, healthy selection of ports, which this power station does. But another thing that is super important is the amount of power that this power station can output and input. So how much it can deliver to the devices it's powering and charging, and how much it can intake when charging the actual battery inside. So up here on the screen, I've put all the output specs for you so that you can get an understanding of whether or not your device will be able to run off of this power station. With the specific model of power station that I have here, the 1000 Explorer Pro, it can run a wide variety of appliances, but the maximum wattage from the AC outlets can be a little bit limiting. So the name of this power station is indicative of two things, and you may have been able to pick up on them when I shared the spec list with you. So this is the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro. It's got a 1002 watt hour battery inside, and it can output a sustained 1000 watts of power from the AC outlet. So it's 1000 across the board. Now, quickly to demonstrate kind of what I'm talking about here, I've got a space heater. And these space heaters can draw a significant amount of power. This one being 1500 watts of continuous power usage. I've tested it on other power stations and stuff like that. But let's go ahead, we'll plug it into the outlet here. We'll turn on the outlet. We'll make sure that this is seated properly. We'll go ahead and turn it on, and it'll initially provide power as it warms up. But as it continues to operate and climbs over 1000 watts, it'll continue to run, and then it will shut off by itself. And that's because this starts to draw a significant amount of power. Now, this power station can support surges of up to 2000 watts, but it's got to be quick. Like, it can't continue to support, say, 1500 watts of power for minutes or, say, hours at a time. It's going to have to be a quick burst and then have to come back down under 1000 watts in order to continue to operate. So let me show you here. I can actually unplug this. I'll kind of do a quick reset. I'll turn it off. I'll plug it back in, turn it back on here. I'll then go ahead and readjust my space heater. I'll turn it on, and then I'll put it to low. And now in the low mode, it's going to use about 850 watts of power from the AC outlet. So it's good to go. It'll continue to run on low. And while it doesn't put out as much heat as it would on high, this is great for an emergency scenario where I need to stay warm and this is all that I have. And it can provide power for about an hour and a half, which is really good. So basically what I'm trying to get at here is that if you do have a device that requires more power, like over 1000 watts, you can always look at the full range of power stations from Jackery, like their larger 1500 or 2000 Explorer Pro power stations. While these are more expensive, they give you a much larger battery and can output more power, with the peak output wattage being right there in the name of the device, as I mentioned. This is a quick little comparison chart that I made for you so that you can look into the devices that you're trying to power, so that you aren't disappointed when you buy a smaller battery that can't provide enough watts for what you're trying to power. I do have to say though that for me and what I'm doing, charging drone batteries while on the go, I think that the 1000 version of their Explorer Pro power stations is the perfect blend of portability, power, and capacity, and also price. I mean, you don't have to carry around this massive battery with you each and every single day, because even with this, when I come back home, I've got extra battery left over. So why would I bring a bigger battery with me that costs more if I'm just wasting space inside of my car, wasting money, and also wasting time trying to lug the thing around? So again, in terms of like price to performance to price ratio, this is perfect for my wheelhouse and can even power some of my heaviest drone batteries, like the Inspire 3 batteries that charge right off of the AC outlet. Now, speaking of drone flying, like I mentioned, I've been running through batteries with this power station on the Inspire 3, the Avata, and the Mavic 3 Pro, which is more of a daily driver for me. The Inspire requires a bit more power, so for those batteries, I pull from the AC outlet, but for basically any other drone that I own, I can charge right through the USB-C port. These drone batteries can draw anywhere from 12 watts all the way up to 72 watts with the Autel Evo 2 Pro battery. This means that you have plenty of headroom with the 100 watts that the USB-C ports can output. Now, this little chart up here on the screen is the extra flights that you'll be able to get from some of the more popular drones on the market with this power station from my findings. So imagine being able to get 13 extra flights every single day out of your Mavic 3. As someone that spends full days on a construction site, this is a no-brainer for myself so that I can keep my batteries on charge and keep flying throughout the day. And it's not even limited to just my drone. I could throw my tablet or my remote on the charger and not have to worry about running out of battery while I'm out and about. And think about it, if I had one of Jackery's solar panels and I paired it with their power station, I could charge almost any drone battery directly from the sun. So they offer a 100 watt and a 200 watt version of their solar panel. That is the max power output from those panels that can go into the power station. And my Mavic 3 only charges at 65 watts. So again, I could be charging directly from the sun without actually having to use the battery inside of the power station. Now, the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro and the rest of this lineup does support pass-through charging. So whether I'm pulling power from the sun, my car, or the wall, it doesn't matter. It'll pass over the battery and power whatever's plugged into the actual power station itself, which improves the longevity of your battery inside. With that being said, buying a solar panel would basically make this chart pointless because you could have infinite power while you're out and about. The only drone in my fleet that would outpace a solar panel is the Inspire 3, but just think about it. Being able to add power into the battery while also pulling power from my Inspire 3 batteries would just prolong the amount of time that I could fly even more. Like if I had that 200 watt panel, and let's say it's a cloudy day, so I was only pulling 180 watts and not the full 200 watts, I could still charge 3 Mavic 3 batteries simultaneously at 65 watts apiece without pulling power from the battery and pulling power directly from the sun. That is a pretty cool thing to think about. Like having infinite power and not having to worry about battery life, that is a dream come true. Okay, now charging from the sun isn't the only way to charge up this power station. Of course, we can plug into the wall or into the car, which charges this thing up pretty fast. Like right off of the wall using the AC outlet, you can fully charge up the 1002 watt hour battery in just about an hour and a half. It'll take a bit longer from the car, but again, you could use this as a bank of power, pull energy from it, and trickle charge the power station to offset your usage directly from your car. Most vehicles won't give the IO or the power that this power station would, again, having AC outlets, USB-C outlets, and all the other ports. Now, quick side note, I've got to give a huge set of props to Jackery for these awesome charging cables. They're really well made, they're high quality, they're bright orange, they're hard to lose. So we've got the charger for the actual wall, so the AC charger, and we also have the DC charger, so this is what's going to charge up your power station from your car. Again, they're hard to lose, they're really made of a high quality material. I can tell that these are going to last for the lifespan of the power station itself. So thanks for the high quality cables as well as the convenient carrying case here. Okay, now moving on to our next section. This probably should have been put in the beginning of the video, but hey, we'll save the best for last, and that is safety. Safety is so important when it comes to power stations like this because you've got a huge battery and a ton of power being put in and also being put out from the power station itself. So longevity-wise, you can expect to see a very long lifespan from this power station with roughly 20% battery degradation seen over 1,000 charging cycles. So think about that. You would need to charge this battery from 0 to 100% every day for like 3 years before you started to really see any noticeable difference in terms of your maximum capacity. The battery management system on this power station is also top-notch with protection against overvoltages, high temperatures, short circuits, and other common electrical issues through a pure sine wave inverter. There's also 9 temperature sensors on board to monitor how hot the internal components are getting, thus further preventing any massive issues that could arise. I mean, think about it, right? This is a massive battery. You're going to be inputting, outputting a ton of power on the daily, powering up your appliances, charging your drone batteries, whatever you might do. So safety is definitely a huge concern, and it's good that they've built so many safeguards into a battery like this because it makes me feel better about using it. Like I don't mind leaving this unattended in my car. I don't mind leaving it unattended here in my apartment. I know that all the safety features will prevent this from overheating and from potentially catching on fire. So those safety features are really good to have. And really overall, this is a well-rounded power station. The price, the performance, the capacity, the safety, it has it all. So if you're looking for a good power station, this is definitely a great option. They're also often running deals on this power station through Amazon, even directly on Jackery's website. So always be checking out what the price is for the power station because they do tend to go on sale for a good amount. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts on the Jackery Explorer 1000 Pro down in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.